everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beard. Two stakes races on tap on Wednesday at Kentucky Downs, including your race of the day. It's the 8th, the $500,000 Juvenile Turf Sprint. Let's take a look at this field. $500,000 is the purse. Please click or scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile. Mike, trainer George Weaver might already have the best two-year-old turf sprinter in the country with no name Mets. He's got two in here, the morning line favorite, Good Lord Laurie, and Please Advise.
Yeah, he's had quite a year with his two-year-olds, especially on the grass this year, Dan Weaver has. So, yeah, he's got another strong hand in this field. Good Lord Laurie, only one start so far at Saratoga. He was awful good that day.
These are two-year-olds. These are sprinters. We're expecting a fast pace. Timeform US concurs on their Timeform US pace projector. And after the opening quarter mile, they're expecting a horse that's trying turf for the first time. The number 6, Go Otto Go, to make the early lead. It's really too early to pigeonhole Go Otto Go as a true speed horse, Mike, but I think he's going to be forwardly placed. He had a little bit of an excuse out of the gate last time.
He did. We'll see what kind of speed he's able to bring to the turf here. Certainly, he could make the lead. Then I thought this pace was pretty tough to figure out. It could certainly be the 6 going forward. It's pretty hard to tell because most of the turf horses anyway haven't really shown that much pace in their races.
Note the LP flag over the number 5, Good Lord Laurie. That indicates that Good Lord Laurie has the fastest late Timeform US pace figure. He'll be charging in the long stretch. Let's start things off with the number 1, Please Advise. Nice debut win at Belmont early in June, Mike. This horse just sat right off the pace, blew by a couple of next out winners, looked good doing so. Hasn't run back to that race in his last 2 starts, although last time out at Woodbine, he was wired in a slow-paced race. Maybe you can give him an excuse for that one.
Yeah, you don't have to hold that one against him too back. He was in against the aforementioned no-name Mets. He probably didn't have a real chance that day in the Tyro. His debut was good. I personally thought his debut was sort of more professional than anything else. I did think that he ran well that day, though, and I won't be surprised when he takes a step forward here. Then I think you can make excuses for his last 2 starts.
One of the other horses that was victimized by that gate-to-wire winner last time out did come back to graduate on the Tapeta at Woodbine with a 78 buyer, so maybe a decent race. Please Advise comes out of. Jimmy the Tooth, the number 2, scored 3rd out for trainer Michael Maker at Saratoga. We're going to take a look at this race, and he was one of the few horses in this race with experience, especially experience on the turf. He showed good speed. He was sent on through to make the lead, and he goes on his way, just really sprinting home nicely the final 8th.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting thing about this race, Dan, is that he somehow went off at 3-1 in here because he looked like a strong contender anyway. He was facing a bunch of first-time starters, and he just wins the race really, really easily. Another little slight improvement from him. I thought his first 2 starts were okay. He improved again last time. He did win that race easily. He did it with a relatively soft trip.
All of those races were against New York breds. Now he's obviously going to face winners as well as open company. Vote No was a debut winner over the Tapeta surface at Presque Isle Downs for a very underrated barn, and he got up close to the pace that day, and he looked pretty strong in the stretch. I think he can get close again, Mike. From a turf pedigree standpoint, nothing wrong with this pedigree by Divisadero out of a More Than Ready mare.
Yeah, he's bred to handle the surface switch for sure. His debut didn't come back that fast. He looked pretty good to me, Dan. He was confidently ridden throughout. You're right. He was right up close the entire way, but he wasn't speed crazy. He just sat there until it was time to go. And then when it was time to go, I thought he kicked it in really nicely through the stretch. It even seemed like he had more to give coming to the wire, but he didn't need it in that race. He'll need it in this race.
Big long shots up next. Philly taking on the boys, the 4, Baytown Bama Girl. We're going to watch her last race. It's only a maiden claimer at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. All in all, the trip worked out. She's down towards the inside. She's going to scoot her way through, and she's still going to get beat, finishing 3rd. Got beat a half length. The buyer came back very, very slow. She's got a lot of work to do to beat this field.
Yeah, it's a surprising entrant in a race like this one, just based on what she's done so far. Again, she'll be a big price. Maybe she'll really like Kentucky Downs.
Here's the morning line favorite, the 5, Good Lord Laurie, with a winning debut at Saratoga for Weaver. And this was a likable effort because Good Lord Laurie, it wasn't your typical 2-year-old first-time start or win where they go right to the front. This horse sat off the pace, came to the outside, and is really eating up the ground late.
Yeah, he ran really, really well in here. He had a big hold on this horse. Ortiz did up the backstretch, just sort of sitting in behind the leaders. You saw him wheel clear there at the top of the stretch. Really strong finish from this horse. I liked everything about this debut, Dan. I think he's going to be tough in here. Again, with the caveat, I guess you got to always throw out there at short prices if he handles Kentucky Downs.
72 Beyer speed figure for that debut win. First time turf for the expected speed on our Timeform US pace projector. That's the 6, Go Otto Go, Florent Giroux, Steve Asmussen by Bolt Dioro, acceptable with his first time turf runners, 13%. The Dam was 0 for 3 on the turf. There's a little bit of turf way back, but I wish there was more closer up in the pedigree.
I kind of agree with you. I didn't love the pedigree for the surface switch. I'm just not sure that it's necessarily a great sign, Dan, that Asmussen was sort of looking for turf right away with this horse who won his debut on dirt really easily and then didn't run that well in the Bashford Manor. And Asmussen immediately started looking to turf for this horse, which I didn't take as a great sign, but maybe he'll handle it. He should be a price.
The 7 Hedwig looks like a strong contender for Owen Hardy and James Graham. This one was a debut winner at a big price at Ellis Park, going the 5.5. And the runner-up from that race came back to run second again with a good 77 Beyer.
I liked this horse's debut. I thought he did a lot of good things in that race. Another one, though, who didn't show a ton of speed, but he was never out running there. He was very comfortable sitting off it, came to the outside in the stretch and won pretty convincingly. I really like this horse's debut. He's a pretty short price on the morning line, though.
The 8 Dark Room is a dark horse for trainer Eddie Keneally. He's been well bet in both starts, and he figures to be a price for the first time in his short career here. Now, he was a debut winner at Ellis Park, another horse that came from well off the pace to win. He ran at Kentucky Downs a little less than 2 weeks ago. He was favored in an allowance race. He got beat. What did you see?
I mean, he just didn't run that well in that race, Tim. We'll see how well he can bounce back, because I think it's got to be a good sign that Keneally wants to come right back on short rest with this horse in this kind of a race. I think that's a good sign for him. His debut was a pretty good effort from well off the pace, though. I think this horse is going to take a step forward here.
The 9 Bledsoe has to be respected for Wesley Ward and Joel Rosario, your typical early Ward 2-year-old, winning during the Keeneland Spring Meet on the dirt. He hasn't been seen since, but he has turf pedigree. The Dam was a Grade 2 stakes winner going down the hill at Santa Anita.
I like this horse's pedigree to make this surface switch, and I really like this horse's debut. It was a while ago. It was on a different surface, and it was at Keeneland, where it feels like, Ward has his 2-year-olds ready to go all the time, but this horse didn't look like a typical Ward firster. He was not super fast early. They were not super aggressive with him early. They let him sort of sit in behind horses around the turn. He won that race in hand. I think this horse is pretty good.
Untroubled completes the field. He's going to try turf for the first time. A little bit of a sneaky turf pedigree here. His young sire, World of Trouble, was a good sprinter, dirt and turf. The Dam is a half to a graded stakes winner, going a little longer on the grass. Beyer's very light on the dirt, however.
The 3 races on dirt don't make me want to bet him in here. Maybe he'll just be way better on the surface.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Juvenile Sprint, $500,000 race, one of 2 stakes on the card at Kentucky Downs. You're going with Vote No, trying turf for the first time, 20-1 on the morning line, Mike.
I like this horse's debut quite a bit. I think it's better than the figure makes it look, and he's bred to handle the surface switch too, Dan. So I'm just going to take a shot with him. I thought the 5, the morning line favorite, was the horse to beat.
Yeah, we both respect the 5, Good Lord Laurie. He's second on both of our picks. And again, if he runs back to that debut, he's going to be real tough. But Kentucky Downs is quirky. We see a lot of prices win. And I'm hoping the 2, Jimmy the Tooth, might be able to take a little bit of a step forward. He's got experience. He's been improving incrementally with each start for the great maker. 3-5-7-9 for Mike, 2-5-10-1 for me in our Wednesday race of the day, the Juvenile Sprint. Best of luck.